So, as you know, my boyfriend bought me a few MAC products this weekend, and I was using them out yesterday trying to figure out how to work them properly. And I figured I had to do a really good, really full coverage routine that means you're not using as much foundation as I would have in my last full coverage foundation routine. In that one, I think I was using the wrong product and I had to use a lot because it was more of a medium coverage, so I had to use a lot of it to get the coverage that I needed. But these are full coverage products, they're medium to full coverage, so you don't need as much. And I've seen a lot of videos saying that if you're using the MAC Studio Fix fluid, don't use the MAC Studio Fix powder because it's going to get too cakey. But I don't believe that. I think if you use very little of the MAC's fluid and then use the powder to set it, I think it gives a really good full coverage look, and it'll also prevent you getting oily throughout the day. So I've moisturised and I've put my new Palmer's Cocoa Butter on my lips. My lips have started to get very, very dry lately because I'm on medication that kind of prevents you creating oils. So my skin's been drying out, but I've noticed that my lips have really been drying out. I'm just putting some primer on, just quickly. And now I'm going to take, this is my Real Techniques, it's called a buffing brush, but I like using this for my foundation. It's a really, really good dense brush. And take the foundation. This is NC15. I've noticed it is a little bit yellow for me. But then the NW15 was really yellow as well. It actually seemed to me to be a bit more yellow because I really like the Revlon Color Stay Ivory. And I just find that this is very yellow compared. They don't seem to have a more pink one. Because when I was choosing, I was trying to find one that was a little bit more pink. But whether it was the lighting in the MAC shop, which was very dark, because it was the MAC shop in Brown Thomas in Galway, it was very, very dark and very hard to see the colours properly. They didn't even have the NC15 Studio Fix powder there to check. She showed me the colour, but I couldn't touch it. I couldn't try it out or anything like that. I bought it anyway because I was getting the NC15 and I was like, I might as well get the two that work together. So we're going to pump out a bit onto our hand. Also, you have to buy a pump for this. This stuff is bloody expensive, and then you have to pay another €4 for a pump. The foundation is €33. The pump is €4, so you're paying like €37 for foundation. It might end up being a one-off, I'm not sure. I just wanted to try it, and I've seen so many reviews about it, and I just wanted to try it. The Studio Fix powder is €30, which isn't too bad. And you seem to get a good bit of product in it. It's not too bad now. So first of all, we're going to take our stippling brush, and we're just going to start working this. I like to start on my forehead because my forehead doesn't need too much coverage. I don't seem to get pimples or blemishes on my forehead too much. Sometimes around here where I do my threading, if I forget and I do my threading last minute and then I have to put foundation on like an hour or two later, I do get a couple of little pimples, but I don't tend to get many. So you're only going to need a little bit of foundation up here. I like to work it onto my eyes as well. I think it creates a great base for your eyeshadows. So then I'll work down the nose, because my nose doesn't need too much coverage either. I kind of tend to work in like a T. I'll go on my forehead and then I'll go all the way down, because this is the area that, to me, a lot of people, this is the area of their T-zone where they get most blemishes, but my T-zone is quite dry, and then these are where I get my blemishes on either side here. Then we're just going to take another bit of foundation, and we're just going to work this. And already you can see a difference, and that's quite a light application of this foundation. Making a little rhyme there. You see, we're only going light. I have spots under here as well, so I like to kind of cover them up. We're only putting on a really light application of this foundation. Like if I was going to put on this foundation and only wear the liquid foundation, the Studio Fix liquid foundation, and then set it with, say, my Smashbox powder or some powder, I'd probably I'd go over that again with another layer of foundation, because I don't feel the coverage is that great. It's not too bad, but because I am going to set it with the Studio Fix foundation powder, I think that's enough on there to help the powder cling and give it a bit of coverage. Now, my forehead is very, very, very dry, and I did this last night, and I put the powder on my forehead, and after a few minutes it all started cracking. So I'm actually going to leave my forehead powder free because it is actually dry. I don't really need any powder. I can bring powder with me when I'm going off, and I can set it if it does start to get oily. But what we're going to do is, you can take a different brush. This brush is a little bit lighter. This is the F50 Dual Fiber brush from Sigma. And we're just going to like lightly powder this all over the face. For the areas that need a bit more coverage, I'm taking the foundation brush and patting it on to the areas that, to me, are very spotty or get very oily. So for me that would be under the eyes, get very oily, across the eyes as well. And then I have a lot of spots here, so I want a good bit of coverage across the bottom part of my jaw. Also under here, just for a bit more coverage as well. And then take your lighter brush, and this is what you can use just to dust the rest of the face. And see, I feel this gives a very good coverage, very, very good coverage, full coverage to me. But I don't think it looks cakey. See, to me that looks pretty flawless. So that is how to get a really good full coverage foundation using the two Studio Fix products, the fluid and the powder. I know lots of people will say, don't do it, don't use the powder and the fluid at the same time, but I think if you use a little bit of each, you'll get a brilliant coverage. It'll set the foundation. You won't have to use anything else to set the foundation. You can bring the powder with you, and say if you get oily again, which you shouldn't, because the Studio Fix stuff the powder is brilliant, and it really does absorb. And yesterday I had it on for a good few hours, and I did not get oily at all. I had it on from about 5 till 11, and not once did I have to do any powdering or anything like that. And with my old foundations, I would have started getting a bit oily and stuff around my face. So this is how to get a really good coverage, but it doesn't look cakey. It looks very natural, and you're covering everything. I didn't even need to use a concealer, which is very rare, because most of the time I will need to use my concealer. I didn't need to use concealer. You could put a bit of concealer under your eyes if your bags were a bit bad. Mine aren't too bad today. Had a good sleep. So that's it for my second full coverage foundation routine. I hope you enjoyed it, and check out the rest of my tutorials, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye!